So the way a narcissist trains you like a dog is by basically lowering your self-esteem. Now, how do they do that? The first clue that you're lowering your self-esteem, or the main clue, is when you start getting into arguments with them. Let me break it down. You really want them to understand how they made you feel. Not only do you want them to understand that, but you want them to feel it, because then they'll really acknowledge it. They can't feel it. That means that they did something wrong, and we all know that they have to be the victim, always, right? And I always like to say that they may speak your same language, but there's a different vibe and meaning behind the words that they use. Versus if you hear those words, they're different for you. So basically, when you're not getting that feeling of being justified by them, because remember, it's that love bombing energy you fell in love with. So you're like fiending for that because you know they just hurt you, and now you want them to understand you, and you're not getting that. You're completely, now they're gray rocking you. And so you are now playing in your head a million times the scenario and the argument you had. And the reason you're playing it a million times is because you're feeling a justification come over you. Every time you play it in your head, you're like, this is how I feel because this is the right thing to, this was the right thing to do. They did this and this was wrong. And when you play that and you stay on that high, you're literally you're rewiring your brain. You're giving your energy to them, and you're, taking your eyes and your senses and energy off of everything else around you, and you're strictly focusing on them. So you're basically brainwashing yourself. It's like a drug. When you're on drugs, you think that everything's great and you're high and everything, but your body can't keep up with it, which is why it eventually taps out. You may feel like you're creative, but you're only on a drug because you're trying to reconnect with a higher power. Like a kid doesn't need it, probably, so we're born with it, but people get lost along the way. So you're now trying to get, because being in a relationship like this is just like heroin. I wouldn't know what heroin means, but I'm just saying, a lot of girls have said that, guys have said that, but it's like one of the hardest drugs to get off of when you're in an abusive relationship, so I understand. But that is part of it, like the way your brain is. And I always like to say that this is your drug that actually follows you because it has legs. So I say it's the toughest drug. But yeah, so that's why joys and gratitude are so important, because joy and gratitude, if you don't have them, find them. And if you don't have them, you don't stop calling yourself the victim, because it literally can pull you away from their energy and consume you.